I dropped out of high school in 1982 at the age of 7. I promptly left my parents' house and fell in with the wrong people. For a while, I sustained myself by knocking over houses. I kept simple, any small neighborhoods, mostly smash and grab jobs. I'd wait for the beamer to left the garage, go in, get the loot, get out. My problem with these jobs, the payout. It was a feast or famine, but most often it was the latter. The risk of incarceration was ever present, of course, and after narrowly escaping the long arm a couple times, I was starting to feel untouchable. I thought I was in a hot shit. Then came along the old lady. It was the summer of 1987. Batman with Michael Keaton just hit the theaters. Everyone was talking about it. I, for one, was more of an Indiana Jones fan myself. I kept my ears to the tracks, always on the look for jobs. An old woman showed up one night in July, looking for help. She was looking for a cat burglar. I fit the description, I guess. She just happened to appear for darkness of the street, so I listened to her. She asked me to break into a house. Inside there was a lockbox. Inside the box, something very important. She wanted me to retrieve the contents and bring it to her. Simple, right? Just one thing. She wouldn't tell me where the box located or what contained it. Also, she punctuated her offer with a simple statement. Look out for the flat man. What the hell was that supposed to be? Is he the landlord? She couldn't go into detail with the warning. She had me apprehensive with the job, but a job's a job, and I needed money bad. One thing I knew for sure, she was afraid of that house. To be fair, she was old enough to be my grandmother. Maybe she had dementia. Needless to say, I took the job. A week later, I found myself at the ass end of town, small residential area, nearing the industrial district. It's hot as hell out. This was the last street of homes before it was factories for mine. The house was situated at the end of the road in a small cul-de-sac. On the other side of the property was a sprawling railway. I spent a night or two casing the place. Didn't take too long to see that it was abandoned. The other houses on the street might as well have been too. The curb was lined and rusted out. Junkers and stray cats sauntered around the fence line. The street was a shithole. I barely saw a soul most of the time I was there. Probably could have waltzed into that house in broad daylight and no one would have noticed or cared. It was the biggest building on the street. Clearly the oldest. 3 stories and worse for wear. It was an older Queen Anne style Victorian house with a steep roof and a spire poking up above the treetops. It looked like it once was painted blue or turquoise. Most of that color has been lost over the years. The glass has been broken or cracked, save for one tiny round window at the attic level. The front porch was sagging in spots. The awning drooped down, threatened to collapse. The quote-unquote yard, if you could call it that. It's just gray dirt dotted with parsley shrubs, broken tiles, and pieces of wood. Shit where all place. I partially sat in my dented Schwana deal wagon, parked a few houses down, some cigs, sit back, listen to the ghost-like moans of train horns in the distance. Paula Abdul surrounded me on the radio in between ads for McDonald's pizza. Yes, that was a thing. And this was a new thing in a new thing called the Sega Genesis. From time to time, I would open the tiny box. Oh, yes, the box. I forgot to mention that. As if the job wasn't strange enough already. It was a handcrafted wooden box, just as smaller than a pack of cigarettes. The old lady had given it to me the night I agreed to do the job. She said I would need it. Inside was lined with a blue velvet. Inside of it was lined with blue velvet, and it contained a small gem. The gem was pretty enough. Pigeon's blood red with facets cut in the teardrops. It's about the size of my thumbnail. It was it interested me. It interested me as much as it perplexed me. After casing the house for 2 nights, it's time to be. Third night, I silently made my way up the house. Felt bigger up close. The door was bolted up. I had cut through the yard to the side into the backyard. Above, the moon hid behind clumps of clouds. Not a sound. I climbed the 4 steps to the back door. Quickly checked my digital watch. 12:46 a.m. Inside, there was some kind of mudroom. Dusty shelves along one wall. Nearby was cracked ceramic sink and a seat with old steel buckets. There was a heavy-looking wooden door at the end of the room. Next was a sizable kitchen. Save for the heavy layer of dust on everything, the place seemed much tidier than it had any business being. A heavy silence hung in the house. Despite the broken windows, it's quiet as a tomb in there. What the sweat on my forehead. I started searching for the lockbox. The beam of my flashlight struck the stained wood cabinetry, the marble countertop. The floor was covered with dark green tiles. There were still pots and pans and dishes in the cupboard. The house seemed pretty decently preserved. After the kitchen, there was dining room. Dust cobwebs blanketed. There was a stale smell. The ceiling was tall, and ornaments hung 2 expensive-looking chandeliers. My gaze fell upon the gigantic table covered in flowered tablecloth. I then entered the small hallway which led to the large main hall. There I could see the wide staircase which led to the upper landing. The stairs took a right turn along the back wall and continued up straight to the 3rd floor above. The walls were wine-colored. As I passed, I gawked at the bizarrely pink covering the wall. The house, a horse with wild eyes, a ridden man in Victorian clothing, a baby with unusually wrinkled face, a woman with a vengeful expression, baring her teeth. The paintings may have been worth something, but I couldn't bring myself to touch the grotesque. I was about to make my way upstairs when I heard a sound, barely audible. Then it got louder. Tiny clicking, tapping noise. Rain. Wait, what? Rain? It was 80 degrees and cloudless when I entered the house. I listened as the rain intensity increased until it was pouring. Raindrop rattled the roof far above and dribbled through the broken windows. I could smell Esther wafted the cracks of the glass. I made my way upstairs and found the master bedroom at the end of a long hallway, spangled with more freaky paintings. The door was wide open. Inside was a weather bed frame, heaped with comforters and pillows. The room smelled of mildew, water dripped from the high ceiling from puddle in the hardwood floor. I shone the flashlight around, searching for a lockbox. Checked the huge walk-in closet, then underneath the bed, then behind the heavy wardrobe corner of the room. Suddenly, there was a flash of lightning that lit the room up for a brief second. I realized two things at that moment. One, the entire ceiling here was made of glass skylight. And two, the wall behind the bed was dominated by a massive painting, at least 10 feet tall, just wide. It was one huge portrait of someone, but apparently it had been altered, as if someone took a bucket of black paint, splashed it over the entire face. Well, the face was black, smeared, featureless. Something about it seemed malicious, hateful even. Just then, a snarl of thunder crackled through the house, striking the windows into frame. Wind whipped the streets, and the rain into the windows' skylight. I realized I was shaking. I wasn't cold. The house was just unnerving. So I just moved on, backed into the hallway. Just then, I heard a voice downstairs and they stopped and cracked and strained to listen. I just had to be coming from the dining room. It was a soft, but echoed in the large main hall nonetheless. It was a man's voice, talking coherently as it was carrying on a conversation. I was frozen in place, listening carefully as it got closer. To my horror, I realized the voice was speaking absolute gibberish. It was like someone talking in their sleep. None of it made any sense. Something about the way the words slurred together chilled my blood. And then, 20 feet away from the end of the hall, a silhouette came into view. The shape of a person, but flat. Flattened as in two-dimensional. Flat like someone's shadow. It stood stationary now, arms down by its sides. I couldn't move. The figure didn't even budge either. The weird, unintelligible words came spiraling out of it, filling my ears. And just then, another peal of thunder tore through the house. I took a step backwards, nearly falling onto my back. My eyes darted to the end of the hallway, but the flat man was gone. Somehow, I pulled myself to my feet quickly, and then head towards the main hall. I moved from room to room, desperately looking for the lockbox. Each room had a different feel. Some were furnished as if frozen in time. Others contained boxes stacked to the ceiling. Another room was filled with mannequins dressed in various outfits, with a beat-up old sewing machine that sat in the back of the wall. One thing was for sure, there was no lockbox anywhere. Finally, I headed up the steep staircase to the highest floor. I was met by a narrow wood panel hallway with two doors on each side. At the end of the hall, punctured by a fourth door, half of the height and width of the others. Or I could try any of the other doors. I heard a voice, a man again, downstairs somewhere. Unsensible babbling, echoing through the main hall again. I moved as quietly as possible, trying the first room on the left. The simple bed, next to it, desk, covered in stacks of yellow papers. I checked in the other room. Same deal, nothing special. Just a bed and a desk. I went back and checked out the miniature door. It was covered in intricate carvings. Birds, goats, wolves, horses, fishes, lizards, foxes, all kinds of animals. I even tried the tiny door with a trembling hand. Locked. Fucking course, I whispered to myself. My first instinct was to pry the door open or kick it out of the frame. But I didn't want him to hear me. I did not want that thing climb the stairs, that shadow shape that I could still hear a strangely calm voice muffled through the floor, moving from room to room downstairs, babbling incoherently. I took a knee and checked out the doorknob in the light of my flashlight. My breath came out shaky, frantic. Maybe I could pick the lock? It was made out of brass or gold, with etched with leaves and flowers, with an impressive pattern. And the shape in the center was a teardrop-shaped indication. Took my fingertips, gently felt along the edges of the shape. Then it hit me. I produced that small blood-colored gem. Carefully, I placed the faceted stone into the indication on the door. It fit perfectly. Something inside the door clicked gently. Tried the knob again, and it turned smoothly. It was a key after all. I opened the door, tiny, as if it was made for a toddler. It wasn't a room at all on the other side, but a small closet. The walls were painted with the purple flowers. On the hardwood floor, there was a crystal bowl. Within that sat a single silver coin. I scooped up the coin to examine it closer. It was certainly no currency I've ever seen before. On one side of it was a bird surrounded with holly leaves. On the other side, a galleon adorned with bellowing sail. Pocketing the coin, I silently made my way top third floor staircase. Now the intelligible voice downstairs gone. I decided not to wait and headed down to the first floor quietly as possible and quickly as possible. Unfortunately, each step was answering angry creaks and groans of the ancient floorboards beneath me. I headed to the only floor of the house I haven't opened yet. A narrow door underneath the stairs. The hinges squealed loudly in protest as I opened. I stepped into the top of the staircase leading down into the basement. Took a few deep breaths. I descended the rickety basement stairs. Basement was cold, damp, quiet. It took me a moment to realize what I was looking at, but it sank in when I pointed my flashlight at the wall. Skulls. Human skulls. It was a wall that was built upon them, and not just skulls, femur, tibia, vertebrae. The entire basement was adorned in human bones. I dropped my flashlight as I retched. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Then I found it. It was a heavy-looking iron lockbox in the farthest corner of the basement, sitting upon a wooden table. The thunder growled outside. I had been planning all this time to carry the lockbox out of the house where I could open it later on my own time. I had not anticipated being so sturdy. It was big, and it looked as if it weighed 100 pounds, maybe more. I approached and examined the mechanism. The lockbox was like nothing I had ever seen before. The entire unit was covered in ornate design. It had made to look like metal vines.
Potato nuggets.
And then taking over the outside, twisting into very delicately. The whole thing was actually pretty beautiful. I am sure it was worth a fortune in itself.
For you.
Well, I couldn't give a fuck less at this point. I wanted the contents. I wanted out of this house. Ran my fingers over the points of the lockbox. There was no dials, levers, or keyholes. There was, however, a plaque on the front, which the following expression was etched in Ego non requiemum vos. There was a thin slot underneath the plaque. My mind raced as I remembered coin that I found earlier. It had been a long shot with this old job. It was fucked up enough that I made sense on its own bizarre way. Pulled out the coin in my hand, shaking so hard that I almost dropped to the floor. I sank the coin into the slot of the front, the lockbox. It fell into the mechanism with a clunk. There was a sudden silence. Even the rain outside finally seemed to subdue. Somewhere inside the lockbox, I can hear gentle clicks and clockwork moving. And the right lid popped open. My heart slammed in my chest. I grabbed the door, opened it completely. There, sitting at the bottom of the lockbox, was a tiny black velvet pouch and nothing else. I snatched it hastily, and I shoved it into my pocket. I didn't walk or jog. I just ran the fuck out of the basement to the main hall, then to the mudroom in the back. As I entered the mudroom, I realized the rain stopped completely. As I stood there listening for the rain, a new sound came. Sound of whispers. I spun on my heels and found myself facing the flat man. The shadow stood directly in front of me now, whispering accursed nonsense like some twisted sarande. I pulled my arms back to swing at the flat man, but as I raised my flashlight, pain exploded in my chest. As I look down, I see the shining length stuck deep in my ribs. My muscles hardened around the blade. Adrenaline dumped into my system. I pushed hard into the figure as if there was nobody there. I inched forward and managed to catch myself on the countertop. Dime-sized drop of blood pattered onto the floor. The flat man, and the blade were mysteriously gone. I grabbed my side, looking for something to help stop the bleeding. Found an old dusty hand towel and clutched it into my side. Pain fired through my chest and arms. I stopped abruptly as the strange voice returned. Just out of view in the main hall. More nonsense. I forced myself up and out of the kitchen and out of the mudroom. I pushed my way out of the back door to the warm evening air. It made no sense. The ground was dry. It was the same 80-degree summer. I didn't question it. So much weird shit has happened, I just wanted to leave and never come back to that dead-end street again. I made it to my car, climbed in, looked at my shirt, now wet, stained with dark blood. When I was sure it was safe, I opened the black velvet bag and poured the contents into my hand. Contained within was a heavy gold comb. Engraved on the side was a fancy script. It was the name Lucy. I checked my watch again. 1 a.m. I had been inside that house for only 14 minutes. This made even less sense. I gave up trying to make any sense of it and just drove away. The next night, she insisted on meeting that night. The old lady returned. She accepted the black velvet pouch, and then thanked me profusely. Her gnarled old hands clenched the bag tightly. It occurred to me that she was wearing the same clothing that she wore the night I set the job. Her gaze landed upon my bandages wrapped around my chest. Her expression looked solemn. Her eyes glistened as if she was going to begin to cry, but she said nothing. She handed me a crisp envelope with a single shaky hand. It was stuffed full with 20s. There was no conversation. I didn't ask her about the flat man, the catacombs, or how she was related to that heaven. I really had no interest in learning more, nor had any further dealing with that strange old lady. She took the black velvet bag, walked off into the dark the street. I never saw her again. I still have nightmares, even now, about the flat man, standing there at the end of the hallway, waiting for me to make my move. And then a blade stuck deep. Every time I wake up, my chest hurts. The pain has never really gone away. I swear I can smell the pincher in the air just. That's that.
And that was Shade Foxy with the story of the Flat Man. Stay tuned for next time when he will tell more stories of his own finding. Good night, sleep tight.